Hi, let's start this tutorial by going to polyhaven.com where we can download some 3D models. Let's see. Oh, a carrot cake. Let's select it in 2K and GLTF. Then we can download the file and we get a zip file which we need to save in Documents, VZX Artiste 094 Data and Resources. So let's save that. We can also download another model. Let's see if there are any fun ones. Yeah, there's a potted plant. Let's get that one also in 2K GLTF. So let's download that into the same directory. Then we're going to our Explorer where we can unzip these two files. Extract all into a directory, and there we have a bin file and a GLTF file, and the same with the other one. We have a bin file and a GLTF file and some textures. Now we're going to launch Artiste from Steam. And maximize the window. There we go. In Artiste, there is a new section in the module list called Scene Graph, where we find object and then Scene Graph Object Load. This module lets us load GLTF files. So we go and double click on file name. Then let's find a GLTF file, the carrot cake GLTF. So double click that. Now that's loaded. And in order to render this, we need a scene graph render module, which we can create over here. Now we can connect scene graph object into the result of the object loader, like so. But we need a few other things to be able to render something. We need a camera and an environment. So let's connect the camera first. And now we're going to load an HDR environment. There is one included in the Dolphin project, but you can also find others on polyhaven.com as well, or other sites. Now, to render to the screen, we need a texture rendering module, the good old textured rectangle module. So let's create that and hook it up. There we go. Now we see it's still quite dark and there's something there, and it is the cake, but it's rather small. So let's see if we can get closer to the cake. No. Let's enable one of the directional lights. Now it's slightly brighter, but it's still very small. So to make the cake larger, we can create a scaling module, which we can add in between the object loader and the render module. Like so. Right now it's 0, so nothing is visible. And let's add a 3float to float3 module to break out these values so we can control them individually later on. And let's set it to 2. Then we can control Alt clone to the other parameters like so. So now the cake is twice the size. But the cake is intersecting the near clipping plane. So if we reduce that to something really close to the camera, now we can get closer to it. Viewing the cake from a different angle makes it look more tasty, I think. Now to add a second directional light. and changing its angle, slide direction slightly, makes the lighting look more interesting. And also a nice blue color here. We have a new feature in the color picker for this release, a gain control, so that you can increase the intensity of lights like this. Let's also select a nice color for the first light. Yellow works great with turquoise or blue. Now, this particular GLTF file has only one mesh, so we could have control the scaling like this in the node tree on the object loader. So you can scale the model here as well. But when you have a GLTF with multiple meshes, it's easier to use a separate module like we're doing now. But in this case, the result would be the same. In addition to directional lights, we also have environment intensity, which is actually image-based lighting, and you can control that here in the environment settings. Now let's load the second GLTF model that we downloaded before. So create a new object loader and find the potted plant GLTF file. And then we can connect multiple models to the input of the renderer. Now we see this one is too large. So in this case, we need to scale it down a bit. So let's use the scaling module for that again. Connect those up. By holding down Control and Shift, you can control all three values of the slider. So now we have a nice plant growing in the center of the cake. Now I'm going to raise the camera slightly so we can get a better vantage point. Yeah. Next, let's rotate the plant. There's another module for that. So let's add the rotation around an axis module, axis angle, where we have to define a rotation axis first, which we're going to set to up, and then we can rotate the plant. Now the leaves look almost a little speckled, so we can decrease the ambient occlusion contribution to the scene. Now it looks much nicer and brighter. There is a crucial part missing here though, and that is gamma correction in the post-processing phase. So we're going to add one of two different modules for that. We have a module called tone map, which does tone mapping. And we also have another module called gamma correction. We're going to take a look at both of those. So with the tone mapping, you can control the gamma value, and you can also control the exponent or exposure. So this works like a camera model, traditional camera, and playing around with the values until they look nice is usually good. Now let's add the gamma correction module instead. This works differently in that it has an exponent and a multiplier instead. And the same goes here, play with the values until satisfied. All right. Finally, let's animate the cake scale so that we have a pulsating cake. For that, we will add a float interpolate module, which can change between two different values. So the cake at its smallest should be 1, and at its largest should be 2. Right? So let's add those to the two values of the interpolation module, 1 and 2. So now when the position parameter changes from 0 to 1, the actual output value will change from 1 to 2. And to have this work on its own, let's add an oscillator controlling the position value, which goes from offset 0.5 and amplification 0.5, so from 0 to 1. That is all for this tutorial. Hope you have learned how to load and do some basic manipulation of GLTF models. Take care and bye.